It's Reconciliation Week 2023. And we wanted to have a bit of a conversation today about what does that actually mean to you? And how do you think the tourism sector should respond to something like Reconciliation Week?
I guess from an Aboriginal tourism perspective, we're doing it every day. We're teaching our culture through the tours and things that we take people on. So I guess, Aboriginal tourism businesses might get a few more bookings from some corporates and other organisations that don't normally think about reconciliation. Unless they've got a reconciliation action plan, then they probably do. But if they haven't got one, then, this is probably the time of the year for them to think about that and reflect on, our culture, and maybe go on some of our Aboriginal tourism products.
And hopefully in a larger sense too, think about other indigenous procurement, people to be part of your events or artwork or a whole range of things. I mean, that's a really critical part of the business too, isn't it? That's that wider view of what indigenous tourism is all about.
Yeah, definitely. And we try to advocate to get, some of our tourism businesses to be part of any conference that might be coming into WA, in the way of putting on some kind of pop-up like stall. Like when we hosted the World Indigenous Tourism Summit in March, we had a whole,
by the way, it's fabulous.
Thank you. So we had a big stall there where a lot of people applied to come in and sell their wares, so to speak. So we had bush medicines and teas and clothes and art and all sorts of different things. So and that's something that we want to push to non-Indigenous organisations that are hosting or having those sorts of conferences, just to have that as something for their guests to come and do.
What do you think the sort of challenges are? How do we help this sector grow?
So there isn't that intergenerational wealth. So that's why, you see a lot of Aboriginal communities and businesses need support in this space to start a business or to get a business off the ground, because they don't have families' wealth from, 30 decades ago to rely on to do that. So and learning about how they can create a business, because it is growing and growing rapidly, which is again one of the things that traps them. They don't have the time to take time out and actually really look at how they can create their business. They need that mentoring, support and help straight off the bat, because some of them get very busy, like pretty much as soon as they've got their website up and they're bookable, they're full, and then they have trouble keeping up with it, and then they look like they're not reliable because you can't get hold of them. But it's because they don't have the money yet, because it's so sought after, that they just get completely overrun by bookings and trying to keep up with everything.
Do you think there is a role for the more traditional tourism players in assisting in that space? It's all well to turn up and say, I've got a great idea, do you want to do this with me? But sometimes it's an issue of helping the resourcing, helping the training, helping all sorts of things to make that real.
Yeah, look, partnerships is definitely something that we advocate for. And some of the bigger players get a bit weird about partnerships, thinking that they want to partner with them in, like, if they own a boat, they want to go halves in their boat. But it's not about that. It's about the package they might sell. And they need to do it appropriately. We've seen people fall into traps where they do a partnership, but then they go out with their marketing and it doesn't mention the Aboriginal partner. It just, mentions their business doing an Indigenous tour, and then suddenly they get a lot of bad social media. So it's important to do it right from the beginning, but we always work with our, our members and associate members on proper partnerships so that they can understand. And also, sometimes the non-Indigenous partner can rush the Aboriginal business, and the partnership will fall over just because they're too rushed.
There's no doubt that there's a bigger appetite for Indigenous tourism and offerings in that space, regardless of whether it's domestic or the recovering international. Is that what you're seeing in WA?
For sure. So it was very busy in most regions once we opened back up, but it was all domestic. Internationals, as you said, are still coming back. We did just finish ATE, and all the businesses that went to ATE were, some of them, we had the biggest movement, I guess, from WA in our history. We had 11 businesses come, plus WAITOC, so 12 altogether stalls, and most of them did a huge amount of business. But obviously that takes a while to kick in. It's not like you're going to get the bookings when you get back.
What could and should we be learning from WAITOC's experience in terms of raising the profile of Indigenous tourism, and also, you know, the things that are most critical in terms of real working collaborations and partnerships?
WA and state government, Tourism WA and WAITOC, you know, have a really good working relationship. So you'll see, you know, nearly everything that Tourism WA put out has something to do with Aboriginal culture. Every time I hear our tourism minister speak, he's talking about it. So I'm not sure, obviously, in other states how that pans out, but I think I believe we've got to focus on not just the international ready product. Right across you know, Australia, there's, I think, a need to I guess build the supply and build the capacity and capability of Aboriginal tourism businesses. There's a lot of them that want to, you know, do it, but they don't have the means to start up or know how. You know, I mean, the tourism industry, as you're well aware, is pretty, you know, integrated. So you need to know every part of it. You need to know where your business is going to come from.
Do you see sort of a much greater appetite from international visitors to want to engage in this First Nation space?
The challenge for us here in WA is, you know, the connectivity into our regions, with flights are expensive and hard to get to. So internationally, in WA, I believe the statistics through TRA and Tourism WA, I think they say it's 74% of internationals want an Aboriginal experience, but only about 17 get it. I wouldn't say that's changed too much, because it's still, there hasn't been a lot of capacity building done in other states to build up that product. We've just in WA created a new charity, so Aboriginal Tourism WA, and we've just got $3.9 million given to us for the next 4 years. Wow. To work in some of the areas we haven't been able to work in. So the Midwest, the Gascoyne, the Great Southern area. And we've now got staff in Albany, we've got staff in Geraldton, we're looking at getting staff in Kununurra and Karratha. Yeah, just to have an office, a WAITOC office around Aboriginal tourism right across the state. At the moment, so we've got 3 offices, but hopefully 4 or 5 of them will pop up in the next year or so. We're really going to focus on the whole of WA as much as we can, which we haven't been able to do before.